Hello, my name is Jean-Paul Close, founder of STIR and related initiatives. Thank you for reading the ebook on my regional experiments with our shared responsibility for our sustainable existence as a human species. To help you break mentally with the behavioral bubble that has captured our attention for centuries, I share this presentation that I did in Budapest to a global scientific community. The ebook introduces a new behavioral reality, one that affected me personally at first. In this video I reflect about the different, subjective ethics that we attach to realities. The issue of ethics tends to depend on the context in which the debate takes place. When dealing with different realities, the applied ethics tend to become contradictory. Especially now, in the era of the Anthropocene, it is important to open up to other realities, or viewpoints, not just the political financial dominance. The common definition of ethics is the philosophy of what we consider good or bad, right or wrong. In this era we seem so blindly tunnel-visioned around materialism that it tends to block us mentally from seeing other realities. Please have a look at this image. It is full of rectangles. You can pause the video. Can you see the circles? Then start the video again. Once you can see the circles, you cannot unsee them anymore. There are 16. In real life we also tend to see only part of reality, often conditioned to what society, our parents, culture or education expects from us. Until that mirror breaks. Then a new perception of reality reveals itself and cannot be unseen again. This is what happened to me. This I have called a personal breaking point. How did this happen? In 1990 I became general country manager in Spain for a large multinational. During the following 6 years I had to transform the local operations and lay off 2,000 people. What was the reason? Bankruptcy? Failing sales or profitability? No, the multinational was reducing headcount in Europe in order to invest in China, justifying their choices financially and politically. But could it be justified from a human point of view? In my view it could not. Nevertheless I did the job and tried to relocate the people among partners. In 1996 a next mission was waiting. This time I was personally confronted with these two realities, the political, financial and the human values. The multinational wanted me to take an executive position in the Far East. Meanwhile I was in a divorce with my Spanish wife with whom I had a baby daughter. It confronted me with a decision to make. What am I? Am I a global executive in a financial world, working in different countries? Or am I primarily a father, developing my personal and professional life around that prime condition? My decision was in favor of fatherhood. To my surprise it opened up a totally new reality for me. The world of essential, natural human values. It also redefined my own identity and meaning in life. And I became painfully aware that the two realities apply their own interpretation of good and bad. At the time I was unaware that the city of Eindhoven went through a similar process that would later become relevant for both me and the city. For over 100 years the city had been forced to develop itself under pressure of growing multinationals. Then, in the 90s, one multinational decided to move to China. It left the city behind with pollution, huge unemployment, 1 million empty square meters of industrial factory space and an identity crisis. This forced the city also into a "what am I?" decision. Are we a facilitator for industrial development with the proven risk of abandonment out of financial interests? Or do we develop our own image and strength as a city, based on defining a powerful and attractive identity? It chose for the latter, a turning point out of which the Brainport triple helix strategy arose, a high-tech hotspot, strategically positioned in Europe. The decision may still have been made within the old scope of finance and politics. It equally involved the ethics of self-determination and empowerment for the good of the community. In 2001 I moved from Spain to the Netherlands for the first time after an absence of 27 years and landed in Eindhoven. The culture shock upon return was enormous. The Netherlands had developed its 1970s ideology of a care society into a costly, highly bureaucratic, finance-dependent, demanding and control-based doctrine. My multicultural family was treated individually as potential abusive newcomers in the welfare state, not as a family, human beings or potential contributors. The treatment was inhumane, full of prejudice, distrust and demands, with huge waiting lists for housing, cold unpleasant migration and healthcare protocols. From a systems point of view, this behavior was ethically justified, but from my own humanistic point of view it developed a degenerative, local behavioral spiral. The tension led to a new divorce and a personal challenge to look at the way countries develop from a financial and humanitarian point of view. All my experiences together developed the desire to try to define a societal reality that satisfied my own moral and ethical human-centered standards. The overall Dutch blind fixation on its financial dependence made me wonder where to start. In 2005 I decided that the business environment was my only starting option. My own entrepreneurship had led to the award of Best Business Idea of the Year in 1996 in Spain. A different type of entrepreneurship had emerged than what I had experienced in the multinational. It was named the entrepreneurship of the 21st century. For me, the entrepreneurship of the 20th century was immorally based on using planetary and human resources for financial self-interests. 1 times win, 3 times loss. My new format was defined as serving the planet and humankind for the benefit of all, or 4 times win entrepreneurship. In 2005 I started to publish books and began coaching businesses that wanted to learn about this novel, values-driven approach to business success. My desire was to develop this ideology further, all the way into the society of the 21st century. A 4-time win society where all unite in a same mentality. In 2008 the financial crisis broke away the blindfold from society and opened the doors for me. Early 2009 STIR was established as Personal Research Foundation. STIR stands for Sustainocratic Transformation, Indexation and Research, a foundation that experiments with the human values-centered, 4 times win societal approach. The society vision of sustainocracy is based on shared responsibilities, between institutions and citizens alike, around a set of existential human values. These essentials are well-known family values that we seem to have lost at societal level and even tend to lose ourselves through mainstream individualism. As an example, from the human-centered perspective of sustainocracy, we question our tolerance for pollution and unsafe tea out of political financial interests. Eindhoven is geographically positioned in the middle of the most polluted region of Northwest Europe. How ethical is that towards the population and our offspring? But how do we make it healthy and safe? Regional development is fragmented into different pillars of self-interests within a framework of financial growth. Each pillar interacts politically and financially one-to-one among each other through trade, bureaucracy, regulations and self-interest. So, which one was I to ask to develop the existential human values of my ideology? Only together maybe, but who would have to take the initiative? Could it be me? It could and should. My approach became to positively invite all to join the Sustainocratic table: citizens, government, business and science, together. The table would discuss the essential human values, choosing together which core values-driven priorities to work on together. In 2010 we could establish the very first shared responsibility-based local cooperative, called Areas, focused on regional health and air quality. The Areas co-creation table required a new mindset for all participants. Not coming to the table to take, but to bring. All participants gradually started to adjust their behavior. Gradually Areas grew to cover the entire region, with 21 participating municipalities. Complex breaking points started to happen in the fields of mobility, agriculture, city design, logistics, local manufacturing, political argumentation, etc. Also the educational environment, traditionally financed and governed by the paradigm of system dependence, started to open up for cooperation. The STIR proposition of applying the ethics of our existential human values as a shared responsibility had unified the human-centered and systems-oriented thinking into a common dialogue and meaning. The two different realities, political financial materialism and growth, and our sustainocracy model of shared human-centered responsibilities, had opened up many minds in leadership positions. A regional transformation was occurring as a consequence, even though all had to deal with the ethical tension among the realities they now were coping with. We are all human beings, so a new overall regional narrative emerged. Despite all growth potential, we now wanted it to be integrally healthy. At institutional level, the new unified narrative was developing, but a societal transformation is complex, especially in a democracy where conservatism reigns among the citizens. Developing voluntary citizen engagement is an expertise of its own with multiple challenges and facets. It helps institutional progress and vice versa. As such, at STIR and our cooperative ventures, we started to redefine citizen science. Instead of citizens participating in science for us, it became the science of citizen engagement. Gradually, more cities, especially through entrepreneurial citizens, interacting with local governance, engaged with the ideology. It exists, we want it too. Also internationally, through university presentations, student challenges, educational exchanges, visiting executives, publications and videos like this one, the ideology and method spreads. For STIR, myself and all involved, it is a huge learning environment about our perception of realities, human behavior, ethical unification, leadership and paradigm shifts, in which we ourselves created the open space of change and unification. Many new scientific environments were born. Allow me to extend this positive invitation also to you, to engage and maybe enhance the findings with your own. It would be an honor for me to support you if you do. Maybe a local STIR or 4x win sustainocracy emerges also in your home environment through your existential human commitment. We would leave behind the current negativeness of the Anthropocene and become 4x win entrepreneurs altogether. Together we would harmonize our relationship among each other and with our planet. We would remember this humble ebook and video as a lasting turning point for us all. Thank you very much for your attention.